In today's video, we got David. Y'all have probably seen him popping up here and there. David runs the FastTrack program. These guys have like mid five figures, six figures. I don't know who our biggest client is, but I think it's around 16, 17 million bucks, give or take.
We've got some eight-figure clients in FastTrack,
Someone
Lucas.
was hitting 5K a day. And now I don't want you watching this because I know the first thing people say is, well, they must have a lot of capital. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Although some people have 30, 40, $50,000, but the topics that are discussed in FastTrack are next level and guys are really serious in there. So I wanted to bring David on because they've been doing kind of a really how to hedge your LP positions and really minimize risk. They've been playing out some strategies and it sounds like these things are working. So D, walk us through how to hedge your LP positions and minimize the risk of your overall portfolio, especially as it starts growing.
Most definitely. So, Lucas, what I've been working on over the last couple of weeks with FastTrack clients is, we've seen all of the market volatility, and we want a strategy that can help us to reduce our risk to the downside while also allowing us to participate in the upside. So, we've built that strategy. I want to share that with you today.
Let's go.
Let's hop right in. Let me share my screen. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand, and there's going to be a little bit of math in here, is the difference between linear payoffs and non-linear payoffs here. So when we provide liquidity, when we're in an LP position, we have negative convexity, which means that we may lose a little bit more to the downside than holding an asset spot, and we may make a little bit less to the upside than holding an asset spot. So how do we profit? We profit from the fees. And so the goal of this strategy, Lucas, is to isolate the fees from the directional risk. And so let me show that in another way. So this is what a delta hedged Uniswap position could look like with neutral exposure. Okay, so our goal is to isolate our fees from the directional risk. Now, how do we do that? Well, for a little bit of inspiration, Overnight Finance has this really great document here. And their strategy is very similar to mine. And I think that just starting here is a good place to start. So what we do is we lend a stable and we borrow a volatile asset against it. And then we deploy that volatile asset with other owned stables in an LP position. And so if I go over here to Aave, this is the lend, borrow, short leg of the position. And so I've been testing this out with a couple $1,000. And what I've done here is I've supplied USDC and I've borrowed ETH against it. And I keep my health factor at or above a 1.20. And so let me explain exactly what we're doing here. Why is this a short position? So if ETH is trading for $2,700 and I borrow ETH, and then ETH declines from that $2,700 borrow position, that entry, if ETH declines to, let's say, $2,100, well, that difference, that's my profit. I can repay my loan or buy back my ETH. I can do that for less than what I borrowed it for. Now, this is the first leg of the strategy, though. So I've got this ETH here that I've borrowed. So I'm short this 1.05 ETH. Now, if I then take that borrowed ETH and deploy it into a concentrated liquidity position, then I will have hedged a portion of my exposure here. So I didn't do this to be delta hedged because, as you can see, this wallet is significantly larger than what I borrowed here. But you can structure this in any way that you so choose. You could deploy only borrowed ETH and be short this LP position. You could deploy 50% borrowed ETH and 50% stables and have a pseudo delta neutral position. Or like I've done, you could borrow one ETH and deploy significantly more than one ETH and have net long exposure. So depending on how much you borrow and depending on the size of your position, you can use this to either be pseudo delta neutral, you can be net long, or you could be net short. And so how do you manage something like this? Where's the risk here? Well, on the downside, if ETH declines, then I can either close this out for a profit, or I could borrow more ETH against my stables and deploy that extra borrowed ETH. Now, on the upside, what I must do is make sure that I keep my health factor at or above a 1.2. This is kind of like the bare minimum for
Mm-hmm.
me. I want to make sure that I'm not getting liquidated. So this strategy here it's been working extremely well. And
It's been working for
if
OVN too. If
it's
it's
been
working for
working,
them.
yeah, it's been working really well for them. So,
Mm-hmm.
if we take a look at OVN strategy real quick, their strategy is just a little bit different. And you can see that over here. If we go to their stats page, if I launch the DApp and then I go to their stats, and then if we take a look at one of their wallets on Base, that's actually, doing this now. How about Moonwell? That's fine. Moonwell and Aerodrome. We can see this on the bank. And if I scroll down here, so they've actually employed this strategy in full range pools on
Mm-hmm.
Aerodrome. So they supply stables,
Mm-hmm.
they borrow ETH against it,
Mm-hmm.
and then in a 50-50 ratio, they deploy that borrowed ETH with their own owned stables in a
Got it.
full range position on Aerodrome. And that pool on
Mm.
Aerodrome is, if I go to the farms here, and I just want to make sure that I'm looking only at those full range pairs, this wrapped ETH USDC pool on Aerodrome is currently paying 17.5%. So what they're able to do by deploying 50% borrowed ETH into this pool is isolate this yield from the directional risk.
Got it.
And then all they've got to do is make sure to rebase their loan so they don't get liquidated. And it's been working exceptionally well for them. My little tweak on it is to the same strategy, but just run it in concentrated liquidity instead
Right.
of full range.
Because we don't have $7.5 million to make 16% on. We want bigger returns.
That's right.
Maybe you got $7.5 million. You just haven't told me about it, but I don't have $7.5 million. So I want higher returns.
I do too.
So
Well, I
good.
don't have 7.5 million yet.
Yeah,
That's all.
yet. I love it.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
comments, let us know if you have anything to add to this conversation. If you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, just know that there is levels to this game, like everything. And there's guys building some very advanced protocols and projects out there that, like, I look at their white paper of all this math and geometry and trigonomics and whatever else they're putting on there. And I'm like, these guys, I don't even know what they're talking about. There's levels to the game. And no matter what level you're at, it doesn't matter. But if you're watching this and you're like, this is a level that I really want to conquer. Let me know in the comments. We can have David back on the YouTube channel to be sharing more advanced strategies in FasTrack. Maybe you're interested in exploring FasTrack. If you are, I'll put the link below. And if you'd like to see some behind the scenes of our mastermind calls, do let us know in the comments as well. I think I released one or two kind of 10-minute clips of a mastermind call before, and people went crazy because there are people in there with $5, $6, $10 million portfolios, and they literally share their portfolios and talk about what's working for them, what's not. This isn't spreadsheet math or spreadsheet returns. This is like, this is in the trenches. Here's what's working. And I think there's so much value in FasTrack. So if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, do let us know in the comments. If you're interested in FasTrack, it'll be in the description below. You can check it out. It is by application only, and you do need a minimum amount of capital to deploy. But if you meet that criteria, could be a really, really good fit. David, thanks for your time.